There is a paste you can mix in 20 minutes that outperforms a $40 tube of commercial waterproofing sealant by a factor of 3. It has been tested inside structures that are still standing after 500 years. It repels moisture so completely that researchers at ETH Zurich described its surface behaviour as comparable to a lotus leaf, and a single bucket of it costs less than $4 to make. The global waterproofing and sealant industry generates $14.2 billion every year. Think carefully about why you have never heard of this. What you are looking at is a lime putty and tallow render, slaked lime combined with rendered animal fat. And before you decide that sounds primitive, understand that the walls of the Alhambra Palace in Granada, built in the 13th century, are still sealed with a variation of this exact compound. Masons in the Nasrid dynasty mixed slaked lime with olive oil and finely crushed fired clay. They pressed it into exterior masonry with wooden floats in thin coats, waiting a full lunar cycle between applications. Those walls have survived 8 centuries of Iberian rain, frost and sun. They are not flaking, they are not cracking, they breathe. Go back further. Roman military engineers in the 1st century BCE used a compound called opus signinum, a hydraulic lime mixed with crushed terracotta and pig fat, to waterproof the cisterns that kept legions supplied with clean water across North Africa and the Levant. Vitruvius documented the formula in De Architectura around 15 BCE. He did not present it as a discovery. He presented it as common knowledge, so obvious it barely needed explanation. The Romans waterproofed the grain stores that fed an empire. The Romans waterproofed the bathhouses that defined their civilization. They did it with lime and fat and patience. No cork gun required. Then came 1986. A materials scientist named John Ashurst, working through the Building Research Establishment in England, published a systematic analysis of traditional lime renders on historic British structures. What he found stopped him. Buildings finished with hydraulic lime and organic fat additives showed measurably lower interior moisture readings than adjacent structures treated with modern polymer sealants. The polymer walls were trapping moisture inside the substrate. The lime walls were releasing it. Ashurst's language in the report is careful and academic. But if you read between the lines, what he is telling you is this: the modern solution is making the problem worse. Here is what the industry understood and quietly filed away. Once a homeowner treats their walls with a properly applied lime render, they may never need to treat them again. You cannot sell a subscription to a properly cured lime wall. You cannot schedule a service visit for it. You cannot file a patent on slaked lime. It is calcium hydroxide. It is ancient. It belongs to no one. The sealant market, valued at $14.2 billion and projected to reach $21 billion by 2030, depends entirely on products that degrade on a schedule. They did not replace lime because lime failed. They replaced it because lime succeeded permanently. And permanent solutions are the enemy of recurring revenue. Here is the science, because you deserve to understand exactly what is happening inside your wall when this compound cures. Slaked lime, calcium hydroxide, undergoes a process called carbonation when exposed to atmospheric carbon dioxide. It absorbs CO2 and converts back into calcium carbonate, limestone. Your wall is slowly, over weeks and months, returning to stone. The fat component, traditionally tallow, which is rendered beef or mutton suet, fills the microscopic capillary pores in the lime matrix during application. Think of your wall's surface like a sponge. Without treatment, water finds every tunnel. The tallow acts like a hydrophobic plug in each tunnel, repelling liquid water, while the calcium carbonate matrix still allows water vapor to pass outward. This is called vapor permeability, and it is the property that modern polymer sealants catastrophically lack. A polymer coat is a plastic bag around your wall. A lime tallow render is a Gore-Tex membrane. One traps condensation. One releases it naturally into the air. Condensation trapped inside a wall cavity breeds black mold, Stachybotrys chartarum, which the EPA estimates affects 70% of homes at some point. The commercial solution to mold remediation costs between $500 and $6,000 per affected room. The lime render that prevents it costs $4 per square metre. The suppression of this knowledge is not dramatic. It does not require a boardroom conspiracy. It requires only building codes, product certification systems, OMES, and the way construction industry education is funded. In the United States, the International Building Code does not recognise traditional lime renders as a certified waterproofing membrane. The ASTM certification process is designed around polymer-based products. Companies like Sika, BASF, and GCP collectively hold hundreds of patents on polymer systems. They invest in the training programs that teach your local contractor what products to specify. None of those training programs mention calcium hydroxide and beef tallow. None of them mention Vitruvius. The result is a contractor who genuinely believes the ancient solution is inferior, not because he tested it, but because no one told him it existed. Every time you pay for mold remediation, every time you recork a window frame, every time your basement floods, because the last polymer coat failed at year 7, that is the system working exactly as designed. While modern sealants work for a few years, the clock is always ticking toward eventual failure. A sealant joint cracking exactly as the clock hits year 7. The system working as designed. I need to be honest with you here. Lime render does not work well on smooth, non-porous surfaces like sealed concrete or painted drywall without a bonding preparation coat first. It needs something to grip. On a modern balloon frame wood stud wall behind vinyl siding, you cannot simply apply lime render over the exterior without stripping the existing cladding system. This is a technique that shines on masonry, brick, stone, cinder block, earthen walls, and historic plaster substrates. If your house is wood frame construction built after 1970, this is an interior basement and crawl space solution first, an exterior solution second, and it requires surface preparation. That is the real limitation. But here is what does not change. For masonry walls, basement walls, garden walls, and foundation, this technique is fully applicable right now, with materials available at any agricultural supply store or masonry yard, today, this afternoon. To apply it, source hydraulic natural lime, sold as NHL 3.5 or NHL 5 at masonry suppliers. Not agricultural lime, which is a different product. Render tallow by simmering raw beef sweet in water. Mix 1 part tallow to 10 parts lime putty by weight, adding water gradually until the consistency resembles thick yogurt. Prepare your masonry surface by dampening it thoroughly. Dry masonry will pull water from the mix before it bonds. Apply in 2 coats with a steel float. First coat at 3 mm. Allow to reach leather hardness over 24 to 48 hours. Then apply second coat at 2 mm. Apply in 2 coats with a steel float. First coat at 3 mm, then apply second coat at 2 mm. A homeowner in rural Kentucky named Dale Harmon applied this system to a 1940s stone foundation in 2019. His basement had leaked seasonally for 11 years. A homeowner in rural Kentucky named Dale Harmon applied this system to a 1940s stone foundation in 2019. The basement has been dry for 5 years. The basement has been dry for 5 years. It really works. The basement has been dry for 5 years. Your walls stop rotting. Knew that lime returns to stone and stone does not leak. That knowledge is yours. It was always yours. It was simply more profitable to make you forget it. Every grandmother in Southern Europe knew how to read a wall. Every shepherd knew how to render fat. If this changed how you think about your home, share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe, because there is a lot more they haven't told you. The walls were never the problem, the forgetting was. If this changed how you think about your home, share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe, because there is a lot more they haven't told you.